Welcome to the Find Your Flow podcast. Well, welcome to Find Your Flow. I'm so glad that you could join me here today. Cassandra Rosa, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Me too. Okay, so before we dive into all of the extraordinary things that you have to offer the world and how you're showing up, let's just kick this off with the first question, my one and only. What does Find Your Flow mean to you?
Yeah, I absolutely love this question. I've never been asked this question before. So I was meditating on it, and my first kind of instinct response was being intuitively guided. Thinking about all the times that I haven't been in flow, things haven't been in alignment, things have been off kilter, it was because I wasn't listening and acting based on my inner voice. So the more that I lean into that and create moments of stillness to be intuitively guided, the more in flow I feel like I am in my life.
That's amazing. Amazing. What kind of a difference do you think that has made in your life? Can you remember a time where you didn't function
Yeah.
like that?
Oh, yeah. I think when I got back from university and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, my family has an insurance business. So I was in corporate, I was in insurance for a while, and I was doing it to please other people. I was doing it because it was kind of always destined for me to take over the family business. And I remember it just not feeling right. Like putting on the suit, putting on the outfit, walking into there, being in a male dominated industry with people that were like 70 and 60 years old, and I'm the only girl there, like all these little details, right? It just didn't feel right. And I remember like cold calling in this like office, if you want to call it was more like a closet in size, like cold calling and feeling this pull to like help people and to make a difference, and not knowing what that meant, but this magnetizing pull. And I feel like that was my intuition talking to me, but it took me a while to be able to act on that because of all the fears that I had coming up.
Ooh, how did you process the fears? That's important.
Yeah, I think it was just being open to the step, and then, just being in that state of openness. Because I think when we feel fear, we contract. Like I remember reading a book and by Barbara DeAngelis, and there was this metaphor in there of like when you're in fear, it's like you're making a fist and
Yes.
you're not open to receiving anything. And when you do this, all the listeners, go ahead and make a fist and be aware of how that feels in your body, in your wrist, in your nails, into your skin, right? It takes a lot of effort to be stuck in the fear. So by opening your hand, creating that sense of openness, that can create a sense of freedom and ease and flow, right? So I think during that type of journey, I tried to remain open despite the fears. And then I had met my first business partner at the time and accidentally or not so accidentally fell into personal development. And I took the leap. Like, I didn't know exactly what the journey was going to look like, but I just followed the pull. I followed the intuition. And that was one of the biggest kind of leaps of faith that I could have ever taken, because I would have had the red carpet rolled out for me, had everything set up financially and with my career. And I didn't know what I was jumping into, but my intuition led me there. So
I love that.
thank
I love that. I think that first walk off the cliff, that's the hardest,
Yes.
And tell me how you and I had this beautiful conversation on your Instagram live. Listeners, Cassandra here, she hosts an IG live, an Instagram live. I'm being very cool. An IG live and it's called Conquer,
Yeah.
right? If I remember correctly. And she talks to entrepreneurs and how did they get into what they're doing, and maybe what's the biggest stumbling block or that biggest fear that you had to get over. And now you're in the hot seat.
The
What
tables
did
have
you
turned.
the table has turned. What was your biggest fear? And what's it like to be on the other side of it?
Well, I think it was imposter syndrome was a really big thing. Like once I took the step and I got into personal development and I started kind of being like, okay, this is starting to feel like this step. This is where my intuition is leading me. It's like, why wouldn't they study with Tony Robbins or Bob Proctor? Or like,
Right.
this was like a big
Right.
thing that was coming up with me. Because I honestly, a big thing that I was facing was not feeling that there was a seat at the table for me. And I
Mhm.
think that that was really rooted in like, not feeling like I belonged in a
Yeah.
lot of my life, kind of being like the black sheep, the one that would go to the beat of my own drum type of thing. So
That's
I think like
it's a
it
theme.
showed up as imposter syndrome, but like beneath it, there was this sense of belonging. There was this black sheepness. There was, why am I always the different one in my decision making? So I think that was something that once I stepped and decided, okay, this is where my intuition is leading me. This is what I want to do. That was like the biggest roadblock that I keep coming up against.
You know what's neat is I know that you're younger than me, but it feels like this, I don't know, second, third wave of intuitive healers, these soul guided, soul aligned entrepreneurs, right? Who are not in it for the money, but in it for impact and fulfillment more than anything. And then
Yes.
the money just seems to follow.
Yes.
But that feeling of being other, of being not enough, or a complete and utter imposter, in the black sheep, like these are common themes. They're repeated over and over and over again. And one thing that I would like to do, and maybe we can, I don't know, make a pledge right now and then get every listener to make a pledge. You're not an other, you're not a black sheep, you're a leader. This is what a
Mhm.
leader feels like. And stepping into that role of leadership
Yes.
can feel very, very lonely,
Mhm.
especially when you are kind of making it up as you go along, which we are. Let's be really clear. This is new territory. We're just into this new energy. And I've been talking with astrologers and these huge shifts that are happening. We're in a brand new energy, brand new territory. We really, really are. Everything has shifted, and it's not about making money. It's a definite new paradigm.
Yes.
So it's a new set of rules that we get to actually establish and make up as we go along, like what feels good.
Yes.
So I love, love, love that you are strengthening your intuition, working with your intuition, and then guiding other people to do the same.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you talk to me about that, intuitive business coach?
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I
Explain
think,
that. What is it?
yeah, because I think like in the industry, before I answer your question, so everything kind of comes together, in the personal development industry, they talk about mentorship. They talk about walking into the steps of the people before you so you can get the results that they had. And I remember
Mhm.
even on my own personal journey, like feeling like these people that were going to help me were my saviors, right? And I had to do
Yeah. Oh,
exactly
yeah.
what they said, right? And I feel like that was kind of almost a toxic messaging that was in the personal development spiritual industry because people were becoming very codependent on who it
Yes.
is that they were working for. And like, only if I follow this, I'm going to get X results, whatever it may be. And I remember just being a personal development junkie, saying yes to every opportunity that came my way. Yes, 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 which was great and helped me evolve and
How you
become who
learn.
I am 100%. But then I started to realize where I was disconnecting from myself, where I wasn't listening to my intuition. And I started to realize that I was eventually gravitating more towards coaches that were asking me questions so I could find the answers within myself. Like one of my favorite mentors that I've ever worked with, she said something about remembering that the key is in your pocket. And that's what her job is, to remember that you have the power within you. It's not that she's going to give me something for me to have
Ooh.
XYZ. In experiencing coaching like that, in unlearning this codependency when it comes to having mentorship, I started to realize my coaching started to change. And it was asking people questions so that they could remember the power within themselves, that they could remember that they have the answers within. It's like, yes, we experience a lot of things that help us to grow and evolve, but it's because of this remembrance within. Because showing up from a place of lack of I need to get XYZ so I
Mhm.
can have XYZ is not what's going to help you to get to where you want to be. The more that you can allow these external stimuli, books, podcasts, conversations like this to help you remember the power within you, it's a different experience. So when it comes to intuitive life and business coaching, I started to realize that I had this intuitive gift. I loved the woo woo, the crystals, the cards, the meditation. So I started to utilize those tools and ask questions for people to find the answers what they needed within themselves. So it completely shifted my coaching
I
from,
love that you just called them all tools, because that's exactly what they are. It's like that there's a toolbox, you put in it what you enjoy and what you like, but by no means is that some magic wand,
yeah,
right? You can
yeah,
use them and absolutely help yourself and guide yourself, but they are not the magic. You are the magic.
yes.
I
Exclamation
love
mark,
that you are
underline.
establishing this difference. Yeah, I
Yeah,
totally agree with you. It's how I built my business. And ultimately why I closed it as well, because there is this tendency, and I get it, and I was there, I was one of them, of being someone who just wants somebody to take care of it. And I think as a society, we constructed that way of living. We established teachers to do the job for us, and for our kids. And we established coaches to be the ones who actually do the work, and we just sort of show up. And the hand holding, I get it. I do. I get it. But there is an absolute difference, in my opinion, between coaching and empowering.
yes, exactly.
So,
Exactly.
what
And I
is,
think the
yeah,
discernment piece, I think, is also a really important thing too, which I think helps helped me find my flow and like really be intuitively guided was discernment of like realizing like what's a heck yes and what's like a no, no. End of end of sentence, like period.
hell no.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? Yeah, exactly. You know, like so I think that that was something too of like helping me get into flow because when I fully and completely stood into my no, then I wasn't pedaling the boat, you know, like against the
Mhm.
stream and not being in the flow versus this doesn't feel right to me. I'm going to lovingly be able to share that and express that to someone. And I'm going to go back in my flow now.
That is beautiful, because you honor where somebody else is and you honor what they're doing, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to follow it and do it exactly the same. And discernment, that's such a huge word and is used a lot right now. I don't want it to become some sort of buzzword, because I don't believe that it is. I absolutely believe that if you're looking for a magic bullet, I think it's discernment. So take me through that, because I have a feeling that that's probably the first thing that you actually have to teach somebody, because they're so used to being told what to do and being a very good student and following through and doing everything that they've been told to do, check, 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 but still feel somewhat lacking, somewhat lost. So I assume that they have to come to you and strip it all away and actually learn who they are and how to discern what's best for them. How do
Yeah.
you do that?
Well, I think it's giving yourself permission to try things on. Like I love to use the analogy of if you're buying a great pair of jeans, you got to try a few ones on before you
Oh my
find the
God, like a
perfect fit.
hundred of them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Right? It's not something you can order online and just pew, perfect fit, beautiful. I
They
did
do
it.
not, never
No,
ever.
no, no. So I think that that's the part of it too. It's like giving yourself permission to try different things on to feel what feels right to you. Right. Because when you're doing different things in business, spiritual practice, morning practice, based on that moment in time, certain things are going to feel really good and certain things aren't going to feel as good. So you have to give yourself permission to play in the process of finding what works for you. Because like you can discern if you've never done something before, like having that sense of discernment, I think comes with doing.
For sure.
Yeah. I think
And
that's
then
a
maybe trying it again and again and
yeah.
again. And recognizing that you're going to have a pair of jeans that feel awesome. They become buttery soft over about 20 years worth of owning them and wearing them. You don't have to give that up.
Yeah. They might
You
be a
know,
little
you can,
bit they might be a bit snug the first time you try them on or you wash them, right?
that's right, but they'll
Put in
stretch
them
right
some
back
more.
out again.
Yes.
I love that analogy to a pair of jeans. My God, is that not perfect? That's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. So let's move on here to your book. because I did not know that you were an author.
Yeah.
Congratulations. So
Thank
tell me
you.
about this, because at first, listener, it's called Now What? Create create clarity to achieve your dreams. Now what? And that can be like an, oh shit, now what? Or it can be, and I cleaned it up there. I did. I took out the F bomb. I really wanted to drop an F bomb, but I didn't. But it really can be like an, oh, shit, now what? Now what do I have to do? Or it could be a very excited, now what? So what are we after here?
So now what is a question that we ask ourselves for the big moments and for the little moments. For, hey, there was a breakup, now what? Hey, I'm in a midlife crisis, now what? Hey, I'm doing something I've never done before, now what? What's the step I got to take? So I feel like it's a universal question that no matter what age, what gender, all the things in the demographic world, like we all go through it multiple times in our life. And I had quite a few now what moments. And some of the now what moments I had were the darkest moments of my life of not knowing what I want to do for my career, trying to uncover my path, right? So it came out in the pandemic. It includes a lot of personal stories, and it's also a workbook. So you grab a pen, there's space in there to journal and answer the questions and go deep. So there's not a reason if you give 100% to the book that you won't get some sort of breakthrough. And it really starts off by focusing on the gratitude for the now what moments, those difficult moments where we just want to bypass, we just want to get on to the next thing, really being grateful for the confusion and the lack of clarity that we have, and then helping you to be able to find that clarity, have that confidence, and actually move forward based on the awarenesses that you have along the way.
Can you give an example? Can you speak to one of your now what moments?
Yeah, let's think.
And I love that you call it something nice and sweet and cute.
Thank you.
I'm more of like a, what the fuck?
That happens too, 100%. Now what moments have a very vast amount of interpretations, like we're sharing about, right? A now what moment that I went through, I think even starting my business, I was like, okay, I've never created a business before. Not sure how this online thing works. Back then, like I would be the girl that would post for my birthday, my family's birthday, and Christmas. Like that's the type of girl I was. I'm like, social media, what do you mean? Like,
I know, God
so
bless you. You're good at it too.
thank you. Thank you. It came with a lot of years of practice. But yeah, I think it's just, being in that lack of clarity and wanting to just get to the other side. I feel like something I talk about in the book is what I call destination syndrome. When you're so obsessed with having the thing on your vision board of getting to where you know that you're meant to be, that you just want to hit the fast forward button.
Mm.
You don't want to enjoy the journey. You're just like going through the uncomfortable bumps in the road. You're like, nah, okay, I just need to go. I just need to keep going and like rush through to get there type of thing, which was something I really experienced for a big chapter of my life of just wanting to be there already. And I think that's so relatable. I think all of us go through that.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, something else in the book.
Oh my God. And how did you get through it?
Yeah, I think I used to be such a type A planner. I would plan like every goal, every quarter, lots of to the detail nitty gritties. And I remember when things wouldn't go according to plan, it would throw me off kilter. Talk about like off the flow. I would be so upset about things and it would just be this really turbulent ride in the way I was experiencing things. So the more that I started to be present, the more I started to view life of things that are not according to plan. I'm doing air quotes if you're listening, not watching. Are actually gifts. Like there's lessons to be learned. There's a lot of prerequisites to be where you want to be. And I start to experience life that way. It just becomes such a more enjoyable ride in full surrender and trust of all that's happening for us.
I love that. I love that. And you do seem to be simultaneously, like but we have a saying in our family, and we have literally raised our kids on this one saying, get it together, keep it together. And you really do simultaneously have it together and are keeping it together and in absolute flow state.
Thank you.
It's really nice to see.
Thank you.
And I know for me, when I did the Instagram live with you and watching your other ones, you're very welcoming and like very open, and have this amazing capability to, and I guess it's how you make everybody feel so comfortable, but ask these questions and get this information out of people to get them to think differently and to get them feeling confident in their not knowing.
Thank you. Thank you. That was something I really struggled with, was finding that comfortability in the not knowing. And I think that there's a lot of in between moments in life. Like we're in the in between more than we're at the destination. And I think it's
Oh, heck
helping
yeah.
people feel empowered and comfortable with the in between is something that I really had to learn and master. And thank you so much for your kind words. It means so much. Thank you.
Yeah, it's impressive. It's extremely impressive. And the thing that I think that strikes me maybe the most is that, relatively speaking, you are young to have come to this place in your life. And this is what I love about the younger generations. They're figuring it out sooner and sooner and sooner. So I'm 53, and it's not taking 50 years for someone to go, wait a second, maybe I can be doing something different. It's not taking 40 years, 30 years. I mean, these are like in the 20s. And then even younger, you're looking at teenagers who are like, line in the sand, absolutely not, don't cross it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to be admired about that. Listen, as a parent, it's challenging, but there's a lot to be admired about that because there's a lot of undoing that is no longer necessary,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Thank you.
really knowing who you are. So I want to know, what is it in your personal practice? How do you start your day? What's important
Hmm.
to you? How do you get into the right mindset?
Yeah. So I love to do affirmations. I love to recite my dream day. I call it a day in the life of what I'm standing into. It's like a manifestation practice that just really helps me ground into my why and where I want to go. Gratitude, I think, is really important, especially in those uncomfortable moments and obstacles. I really love to find the gratitude in there in those moments. And then just being intuitively guided of, kind of grabbing my journal and pen and venting out all that's meant to come out, and then opening the channel, doing a quick meditation and being like, what am I meant to focus on today? Something as simple as that. When it comes to business, when it comes to personal life, is something that simple has made such a huge change in my life.
I love that. And it's approachable. It's easy.
Yeah.
It's easy.
It doesn't need to be complicated. My practice just started with just affirmations. Then over the years, I added some things, I removed some things. So it's ever evolving too.
See, that's another thing, listener, as a beautiful takeaway is that your flow state will change. It's meant to change. So if you're having difficulties or challenges in trying to maintain your flow state, accept that as part of your flow state.
Mm-hmm.
That not every babbling brook is rock free, grit free. There's going to be some mud, there's going to be some stones. And it's a matter of just, maybe it comes down to a trickle, but it's still moving. It's still moving. Oh, listen, I think that this is so inspiring. So inspiring. How can people work with you? Can you take me through, I don't, maybe if you have a program, what does that look like? What does one session look like? All of the things.
Yeah. So in the fall, I'm opening up registration for the Impact Incubator, and it's a 3 month experience. It's kind of a hybrid experience of like group coaching and one on one coaching, really helping people to create that impactful business and really incorporating, the mindset and energetics as well. So it's focusing on the practical tools of being intuitively guided and understanding what that means for you, as well as what are those blocks, where is the unlearning that needs to happen so that you can kind of be more in your flow, completely aligned with what the mission of this is. So that's kind of my bigger experience. But if people are just need some support, if there's a block that's coming up in their business or they need help with some specific part of that, you can do one-on-one coaching as well. That's something that's
And what does a block look like?
Yeah. So, say you're wanting to get more clients or you're wanting to make more of an impact, and there's just something that's just stopping you, and you're kind of needing help to get the flashlight and uncover what it is. We have a session, and it's really holistic, focusing in on, the mind, your thoughts, your emotions, and like the practical tools that you can go. And it's kind of catered for you in the one-on-one session of what that could look like. I kind of have my big toolbox and I see what kind of would support someone most. So I think that's something that, in business, they say to choose a lane of like, just be a confidence coach, just be a business coach, just do energetics. And I've
Yes.
really found that all of these things are a part of my superpower that allows people to create their own impact revolution, if you will. So I love to look at things holistically in that way.
Oh, I love that. Let me ask you this because it's a little bit of a trend that I'm noticing among, I think, healers and coaches in the holistic world, right? There are all these certifications, all of these trainings that people can find interesting and go off and do. And they then have these silos, right? And I remember thinking this myself. I had a silo that was a gyrotonic instructor, a silo that ran a studio, a silo that was a Reiki master, a silo for Feng Shui. And they never commingled or overlapped unless the client said, "Oh, I heard that you do X, Y, and Z. Could we maybe incorporate that?" And then it became this beautiful weaving of all of these different modalities,
Right.
which I think is, and I think the contrast, in at least in what I experienced, was you take these trainings and people say that this is how you do it. These are the rules. Here is your script. You're going to follow this. And you go, okay, I'm a really good student and I do that. And then it's the same with each silo. And then it feels very rebellious to then say, ooh, I can create my own recipe here. And I'm a big fan of the buffet of all of these different things that are available. And you can come and mix and match and create this beautiful tie dye or this beautiful spread of a meal that you would like to participate in.
Yeah.
But I think the stumbling block is getting past that bad girl or bad boy. You're doing it wrong. You're not following the rules as they've been laid out. How? How do you help a coach go, well, you have 10 different certifications. How do you bring them all together in this beautiful accordion to make music and help somebody?
Look at your story. Your
Listen to
story,
her,
your
listener. And
story.
if you're not watching the video, she just like leaned into the camera and was like, well, listen to your story.
In business, there's all this avatar work of like create a name for the person. Where are they hanging out? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right.
Yes, yes.
And
This
it's
is
like,
your
no,
ideal and
like,
niche.
yeah,
And yes,
yeah. And it's like you are your first client. You are the living proof of what it is that you're teaching. Like if you're
can you
being
say that
authentic,
again?
yeah, you are your first client, right? Like if you're being authentic online, you are your first client. So it's creating your offering based on this prior version of you that needed to know everything that you know now. So that's like number one. That's always my approach with things. Yes, you're a Reiki master. Yes, you do NLP. Yes, you do tapping, whatever it is. You're not selling, you're not communicating the modalities to people. You're communicating the breakthroughs. You're communicating the struggles that you once had and the steps you took to get to where you are now. I think that's a big thing because I think a lot of coaches and healers, they sell the Reiki
Yes,
thing. And it's
yes,
like everybody is selling a Reiki,
yes.
course. Like Reiki was especially buzzy, right? Like let's say 5 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not, that's not what you're providing to people. That is a tool in which you're helping them get their breakthrough. So once you're starting to uncover, okay, this is something that I used to struggle with that I feel like I have conquered or I am conquering and I know I can help somebody with. All right, let's uncover that. Okay, what breakthrough did I have to get to where I am now? From that version of myself, where am I now? Okay, great. This is where I am. Okay, what are the stepping stones that you took? Like I have a thing called a bridge of impact, which uncovers this whole process of like, what are the steps that you took to get to where you are now? And making it be that simple and allowing that process to be copy and paste through all the iterations of yourself because you're never going to have one course for your whole career as a coach, as a healer, right? There's not going to be one promise, there's not going to be one message, but once you're able to break that down in a very simple and concise way, that changes everything.
You just made it sound so simple. So, I mean, quite legit. What took me 20 years to figure out, and like, I'm really feeling like I was breaking a shit ton of rules. And I was. I mean, and I was. There were other studio owners who would scold me and say, you're charging too much money. And there were other teachers out there and other Reiki masters out there saying, it always, which is also interesting. Let's maybe break this down, but always came down to money. You're charging too much money. And yet, I had a 3 month wait list. And whenever I taught a Reiki course, it was always full, always. So that's interesting, that right there. The money mindset of that was just something that I powered through, I pushed through with you can't stop me attitude. You know what I mean? It wasn't like this is what it's worth and this is what I think people should pay. No, it was this is what it's fucking worth and this is what people are going to fucking pay. Otherwise, don't bother me. And so there was a lot of that. And the people who were ready to step up, I was like, yes, I'm here to serve you 1,000%. I just don't think it needs to be that aggressive.
Yeah.
I had so much aggression.
Well, no, totally. Because nobody likes to be put in a box.
Yeah.
Nobody does. It's like looking at business so rigid, but yet we are spiritual entrepreneurs just doesn't make sense. So the more that you can make it storytelling, the more that you can say, hey, like I've been where you are, and they fall in love with you and relate to you. They're like, finally, someone sees me right now. And then it's like, this is the result I'm in. And you tell stories online and you have conversations like this for people to relate to you. Then when they're starting to think of, you know what, this is something I really, really want, and I want someone to help be my guide, then they're obviously going to think of you versus come and have a Reiki session.
Yes.
Right? I
Yes.
love Reiki. I'm a Reiki master, but I'm not sitting here and like saying that to every person. It's like, if I had to speak about all the modalities, both of us, like if we had to sit here and talk about every modality we're in, this would be like a 10-hour conversation, right?
Yes. Yes.
If not more. So I think it's too understanding that too. It's like, what is it that you stand for in this moment in time that you want to help people with, and uncovering your story within all of that and talking about that. It's not, you don't really share too much of the process. People don't buy the process, they buy what they want and where they want to go.
Yes. And trying to hit that 100% all the time, I think is that moving target that a lot of, and again, old paradigm, right? That old paradigm of I'm going to take care of your problem and it's the problem. That's a fixed point in time. And you can very easily identify a problem, go after the problem, solve the problem, make a shit ton of money. This is totally different. This is a moving target of experience. And I love that you call it breakthrough because that's exactly what it is. And that is different for everybody. And it has to start with them. It has to start with that person, that client making the decision to create change within.
Yeah.
And then the coach needs to empower their ability to create the change within. Totally new paradigm.
I would almost say it the opposite way. I think it's up to us to share our stories, like authentically
Mm-hmm.
online, like
To
just
inspire.
what's worked with me. Look, I did it. You can do it too, girl. Even though you're struggling to get a client right now, even though you're tired, even though you want to throw in the towel right now, hey, like I overcame that. And then they look and they're like, cool, like this is inspiring. I'm loving this. And it's
Possible.
like,
Yeah.
what is it that you want? Okay, beautiful. Energetic match, soul contract. People are becoming aware of the soul
Yes.
contract. Let's do this together. I think that's it too, because sometimes we're sitting and we're waiting for the client, or we're just like, do, 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 do.
Yes.
Say
Yes.
your story, like talk. Like most, I can think of the time where I was like sitting on the edge of my seat. I'm like, okay, when am I going to get a client? When am I going to get a client?
Sure.
Versus when I was like, okay, I'm going to authentically talk in the DMs with people. I'm going to story tell. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to enjoy this process. And then like launches where before I even announced something, people like paid in full and enrolled,
Yeah.
and there's a difference in that, like kind of going full circle to what we were talking about before about being impact driven and wanting to genuinely help people, which often for spiritual entrepreneurs, that's why we started the whole dang thing. Like coming back to that place is
Just want to change the
completely
world.
different.
That's all.
Yeah, that's it. No big deal.
No big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, I think back on my years in business, which listener, in case you didn't catch our Instagram live, which just was not meant to record, which I find to be hysterical. I think that that's it. It's always so perfect. But we had discussed that I, honest to God, I never considered myself an entrepreneur. I never considered myself a business entrepreneur. I considered myself a woman who had some skills, who wanted to share and who was really good at it. And that was it. I did not realize that I had created a business, which is really stupid because I mean it was brick and mortar and all the things. It had every tell of a business, but I honest to God never considered myself as a business owner. And I think that there's this stigmatism to the holistic industry that you're maybe not serious because you're, and I don't care for the term woo woo because I think it degrades the actual work that's being done. I think holistic work is, the best. I mean, I'm biased, I'm in it.
Both of us.
But I do, I know, I think we're a little biased. So, I mean, listen, I can blow sunshine up its ass all I want. But I do, though, I really do think that because it deals with the whole person, mind, body, soul, space, that's what I'm dedicated to. Create this whole life that represents you, that it's often considered not serious if
Yeah.
you don't present a business the way that business has been traditionally presented. And I also think that there's this stigmatism against working out of your home or maybe traveling to other people's homes. I think that there's a stigmatism to that as well. But can you please, for the record, just define business? What in this new paradigm of ours, can you please define a business?
It's just interesting. This whole business, like even term, just feels like a box for what it is that we do. It's like so profound. Like when you see somebody that is in a toxic relationship, leave a toxic relationship and change the relationship with their kids, and their kids are saying affirmations every morning. Business, does that encapsulate that? When you see somebody that has had an idea in their journal for years and they're finally showing up online, even though they were scared to hit the live button, and they're bringing that to life, like, is that a business?
Right.
I could go on, and I'm sure you could too, about all of like the breakthroughs that we're so
It somehow
grateful.
devalues what is actually happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, do we make money as an exchange for that? Heck yes. But that really comes from us just standing in our power and our worth and sharing stories with people so that we can connect with people and we can guide them with the services that we provide. So I think business is like a humongous umbrella of a term of like
Mm.
simply you're providing a service or product to someone in exchange for money. But like to say that for based on what we do, like, I don't know if that's fair.
I don't think it's fair either. And I think that was at the crux of my being like, wait a minute, what? You want to ask me about business? Why? Why me? I don't have a business. What are you talking about? And then when I sat down with my husband and I told him what I was going to do, he said, "Well, Lisa, you did have a very successful business. It was a six-figure business. I mean, extremely successful." And then I sat down with my MAP coach, and MAP, for those who don't know, it stands for Make Anything Possible, and it's a quantum training for your brain. And I sat down with her and I told her what we were going to do. And I said, and here's the strange thing. In 1 week, I've had two people say, could they please interview me about being a business entrepreneur? And I said, I don't know how to spell entrepreneur. Like I know there's a lot of letters and several E's, but I have not any clue of how to put it all together. And she said, Lisa, do you think that you're not a business entrepreneur? And I said, well, because I don't do business. I do healing. So I guess if I'm in a business, it's in the business of healing, but I don't consider that traditional business.
Right.
I consider that living. I consider that life changing, mind blowing. I'm in the act of doing that, of helping people open their minds and discover just how freaking wonderful they are. That's the work that I'm in. And I don't consider that business.
I had the same thing. Like, I would put intuitive life coach, and I was so resistant to being business coach because, like, when you think business coach, like, you think of like people that are millionaires and like this and
Right,
that,
right,
and like,
right.
get 10K months, da da da. And then what really helped me like embody that term is like that's what people search for is business coach. But we're so
Yes.
much more than that, and that's where the intuitive part comes in. And once they're
The whole language is changing too. Have you noticed? It's wonderful. It's catching up.
yeah, like I went full time in December 2019, right before the pandemic. And that's a whole other intuitively finding your flow type of conversation that I don't know if we have time for, but yeah,
It's
like
another episode.
millionaires,
That'll
like
be
get
another
your first
episode.
5-figure month, like get your first, a 6 figure year, la 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 la. And like that was buzzy back then. That helped
Yes,
people keep to
yes.
their core need, especially with the pandemic and everything. People were looking for money. Okay, cool. And then it just got to this point where like 2025, people are still using that. I'm like, oh, this is icky and sticky. Like I went on like a unfollow fest and like muting the ads,
Me
that would like
too.
come up because I'm like, this is not what I'm looking for.
Right.
I never really had that language ever in what I was doing. It was like I had, clarity creation was kind of like a big
Mm,
chapter of my business. And then it was fulfilled female entrepreneur. And then it was like, focusing on impact. So that was never really
I
my
love
language.
that.
But yes, things have changed so much. And I don't know if it's just my feed, but because I've changed, but
I think it's probably a little bit of both. When I see a whole lot of that, which thankfully I don't see it a whole lot anymore, of those
yeah,
5,000, 10,000 months, right? All of these buzzwords on how to make money. Because when I do see them, I think, oh, okay. So it's either whoever's putting the ad out is stuck, or it's this longing for what was
yes,
instead of embracing what is and dreaming what could be.
yes,
And I think in there lies the leadership.
yes,
So it's people like you who are standing here going, okay, let's embrace what is and let's dream and create what is to come. You are the important piece of the puzzle of helping to bridge that gap for those of us who aren't quite sure how to make that leap into turning things around and really standing in and learning to love ourselves in this new place of creating with all that we have.
thank you.
So, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for showing up. Listeners, please follow Cassandra on Instagram. I'll have it in the show notes. And I will also have a link to her website so you can get more information on how to work with her. But are there any parting words, any words of wisdom that you would like to leave listeners with?
Everything that you are seeking is not outside of you. The more money, the more happiness, the more flow, it actually exists within you. Everything on the outside is just an invitation to remember that you have everything within you. So I think that's something really important to remember. Happiness, abundance, gratitude, bliss, peace isn't found on the outside. It's found on the inside. So creating those moments of stillness and knowing that even when you were a kid, when you were learning how to walk, you would stumble, you would get up with resiliency. You might have cried, but you got right up, right? Like really tapping into that version of yourself and enjoying the ride in the process of remembering it all.
I absolutely love that. I love that. In my very lowest moment, I heard a voice say to me, "You have all the answers you need." So to hear you echo that same sentiment, that resonates. It makes me shake. It resonates so deeply within me. Thank you. Oh my God. Thank you for spending time with me. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. We have to do it again because
Yeah.
I want to know. I want to know the whole 2019. I want that story.
Yes, yes. It's
But
been such an
thank you.
honor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been so much fun. And you ask amazing questions and can't wait for the next episode.
Yay. All right. We'll see you next time. Before you go, Find Your Flow is now on YouTube. Subscribe to Find Your Flow with Lisa Roche and set your notifications to catch every episode as they are released. Joining this beautiful Find Your Flow community allows your energy to be included in every healing meditation. So subscribe and follow. And if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to share it with anyone else you think would enjoy it as well.